Hi everyone, it's Jordan Thomson, mortgage broker from Citywide Mortgage Services DLC. Today I'm really happy to be able to speak with lawyer Naomi Arbabi, who's going to explain to us why we need a lawyer when we have a real estate transaction and we're doing the closing. But I also want to take an opportunity to tell you why I'm doing these Facebook Live series. Ultimately, as a mortgage broker, my job is to educate and advise you. And so I hope that you are finding some value in the interviews that I'm doing. So it makes the process run a little bit more smoothly for you. Also, I would like for you to get to know me. So that way, when you give me a call, and I will answer your call, we can do the application right over the phone. It's a quick and simple process, and then I can tell you how much you qualify for and ultimately get you a pre-approval. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch. Now, somebody you will need to see face to face is your lawyer when you are doing the closing documents for your real estate transaction. So welcome Naomi Arbabi, who's going to explain to us about why we need a lawyer and what happens at the lawyer's office.
Thank you, Jordan. So the main reason why you need a lawyer is to protect your interest when you're purchasing a property. You want to make sure that your name is on that title. Everything in BC, all the records are kept electronically, so there is no actual piece of paper that you would call a title deed that shows that you are the owner of this property. Everything is kept digitally in land title records. So you want to make sure that you are the owner of that property and your name is registered correctly as such. Also, the other main reason why you need a lawyer is it's mainly because there are certain financial encumbrances that run with the property. So they are the encumbrance, the debt of the property, and not necessarily the person who incurred that debt while being the owner. So the main example would be a mortgage. So the seller would likely have a mortgage on the title registered. If the seller was to take the sale proceeds and never pay off that mortgage, then you're left with that debt as that current owner of the property. So the lender, if not paid back, will be able to come and foreclose on the property going after certain procedures. So what the lawyer does here is to take the sale proceeds. We will pay the sale proceeds to the seller's lawyer when we're acting for the purchaser. And we will ask for the seller's lawyer to undertake to us, which means to give us a professional promise to pay off the mortgage before releasing the rest of the proceeds to the seller. So that way, because the seller will need the sale proceeds to pay the mortgage, but they cannot get the sale proceeds until they actually sell the property. So you need a middleman, which is a lawyer who will step in, take the proceeds, and pay off the lender and release the rest of it to the seller. So that way, buyer is protected, and the lien that is on the title as a mortgage will be removed by the seller's lawyer, and the buyer's lawyer will ensure that this is done. So when I'm asking for a buyer, I keep following up to make sure that it's done. And then after the mortgage has been removed, the seller's mortgage has been removed, we get a certificate from Land Title Office, which shows that at that time when we ordered that certificate, you as a buyer are the registered owner, and the lender, whoever that will be, will have a charge registered as a mortgage. So the other reason why you need a lawyer is because if you're applying for a mortgage, the lender will definitely require a lawyer acting to make sure the lender's interest as a mortgage is also protected.
Yes. Now, what are some of the costs? So I complete the funding with my clients. All the lender's conditions have been satisfied on my part. The instructions then go from the lender over to Naomi, and there are costs involved that we like to certainly make the buyer, or in my case, the client, aware that there are closing costs. Can you go over some of those closing costs so that they are aware of what they will be paying when they get here?
Certainly. So aside from legal fees, there will be land title fees. Land title fees are about $220.
Okay.
There is title insurance that now almost all lenders require title insurance to be purchased. So if it's a strata mortgage is less than $1 million, the registered amount of the mortgage is less than $1 million, then you pay about $105 for title insurance policy. If this is a strata, you will be paying for strata form fees. So we need, your realtor might have a Form B, which will save you quite a bit of money if you can send that to your lawyer, and if it's up to date. So if it was issued months ago when you purchased the property, entered into a contract, then you might need to get a new one. But typically, I would say about $80 cost for strata forms that you will be paying. Insurance binder. So if it's a strata, we will have to get a certificate from the insurance agency showing the lender as a loss payee on the proceeds of that policy. So that typically for a strata can cost anywhere between $40 to $75. For a house, if it's a detached home, it's usually less. But I would say budget about $50 average for strata form for strata insurance certificate. Tax search. So we always do a tax search to make sure that the taxes are paid up to date. And if there aren't, we will ask the seller's lawyer to pay the taxes up to date. And or if they're on for the taxes for the current year, we will prorate it between the buyer and the seller. So we look at the taxes, how much they were last year or this year, how much they're assessed to make sure they're paid. So that is usually around $50 that you will pay for tax search fee.
And so can you explain to us also property taxes? So the seller may have already paid the property taxes up to date, and you're buying mid-year. You're responsible for the portion of the remaining part of the year. Can you just...
So taxes are based on a calendar year. If the seller has already paid taxes for that year when where the conveyance is taking place. So if it's 2017 and taxes have been paid by the seller up to date for the whole year, for the whole 2017, then based on adjustment date, which is in your contract, usually it's a day after completion day, we will prorate between the two parties. So if the taxes have already been paid by the seller, we will reimburse the seller for the buyer's portion. So from adjustment date until the end of the year, we will pay the seller back. If the taxes haven't been paid, let's say right now for 2017, taxes haven't been assessed yet.
That's right.
So we take last year's amount, add 5% to it, and then divide it between the two parties, and we will ask the seller to give credit to the buyer for their portion, for the seller's portion of the estimated taxes.
Okay. Anything else? That sounds like a lot.
Those are the usual costs for
and you do this all behind the scenes, so when the client comes in to sign, it's you've all done it.
Yes, we've all done it.
They sign on the dotted line. So you don't necessarily have to understand all this stuff because Naomi is going to do it for you, but it's a little bit of a look at all that she does have to do. So what are some of the hang-ups? What can cause a delay in funding? So the client call early, please, to make an appointment. Do not leave it to the end. You know, everybody's got lots of stuff to do. We're in a spring market here. It's getting busy, so make sure you call early. But what do they need to bring, or what can be some of the hang-ups that might cause a problem in funding of that mortgage?
So we usually contact the client, in our office we contact the client to book an appointment when we receive mortgage instructions. Unless the client tells us ahead of time that they only have a certain time, so we really try to accommodate that and book the time ahead of time. However, when we receive the mortgage instructions, then we're in a position to actually sign all the documents that are needed. So make sure that you comply with the mortgage broker to ensure that we receive instructions as early as possible, and we have enough time to book an appointment so that you're not left last minute having to come in, leave your work and come in and sign with us. We ask for 2 pieces of ID. So 2 pieces of ID. Your ID, make sure your name on your ID matches your application. Otherwise, we will have to prepare a statutory declaration. If it doesn't, bring us a name change certificate, bring us some sort of, if there's a marriage certificate, or we will have to get you to sign a statutory declaration. So if your name doesn't match your application, let us know ahead of time so that we can prepare the statutory declaration so we can sign when we meet. Usually, some lenders, most lenders require a void check, so have a void check. If you don't have an actual check and you get a printout from your online banking, take it to the bank and ask it for teller stamp. Most lenders will not accept a printout unless it's teller stamped.
Okay, great to know.
So yeah, those are the
And just to round up quickly, can you explain who can apply for the property transfer tax? While I've got you here, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So property transfer tax exemptions, the main exemptions that are available right now are there are three. So there's a first-time home buyer exemption. For a first-time home buyer exemption, to be fully exempt, property value cannot exceed $500,000.
And that's just gone up, right?
That's just gone up. So $500,000 for full exemption, $525,000 for partial exemption.
Okay, great.
Which you will pay a lot less than you would have paid, but you still have to pay some.
Okay.
It is a property value, property market value that determines whether or not you can qualify for first-time home buyer exemption. It's not your proportionate interest in that property.
Okay.
So if you own half of it, if the property is $750,000 and you own only half of it, your first-time home buyer, the other owner, is not a first-time home buyer. You don't qualify because the value of the whole of the property is more than the exemption threshold.
Great to know.
So you can never have owned any property anywhere in the world or had any interest, even 1% interest in any property anywhere in the world to qualify for first-time home buyer exemption. Sorry, not any property, I should correct myself, any property in which you lived. So it should have been, if you owned investment property, you can still qualify.
Oh, okay.
But if it was your home, your principal residence, you don't qualify anymore.
Okay, great.
The property has to be you have to intend for it to be your principal residence. You have to move in within 3 months and cannot, if you move out before a year after completion, you have to pay the taxes.
Okay.
You have to be Canadian citizen or permanent resident, of course, to qualify for first-time home buyer exemption. The other exemption currently available is for newly built homes that you buy from a builder. So if you're purchasing directly from the builder, it's going to be your principal residence, and the value is less than $750,000.
Okay.
And also you're Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Then you can qualify for first-time for home buyer exemption for property transfer tax. And the last one is family transfer. So if it's the transfers between family members, and it is either principal residence of the transferor or the transferor for the past 6 months, then you can qualify. Related individuals, family members, are only considered to be parents, between parents and child. In-laws are also considered, and spouses. So siblings, unfortunately, do not qualify for this exemption.
Oh,
siblings are
that's
not considered relatives for.
That's surprising. Well, I have to say I've learned a lot here. It sounds like there is a lot, but part of my job and Naomi's job is to do this for you and to make you aware of these things. So you're not required to know all this stuff. We're going to help you out. So Naomi, can you tell us how to contact you? What's a good way to contact you if you do have any questions?
You can contact me via email. My email is naomi@naomiarbabi.com. My phone number is 778-379-7300, or you can go to envisionlawcorp.com to find my information.
Great. Thank you so much, Naomi. And I want to say thank you, everybody. I'm Jordan Thompson. You can call me at 604-725-1607 if you have any questions. And I hope you have a great day and have enjoyed this segment. I'll see you soon.